I sent $5,600 toward my sister's wedding. Then my son accidentally played a voicemail out loud. Double the gift budget or no extra kids. He sat quietly and said, "It's okay, Dad. Just leave me with a nanny like last time." I just kissed his forehead, made one call, and shut my laptop. By morning, 47 missed calls filled my phone. My name is Michael. I'm 37, a project manager by trade, single dad by life, and the one person in my family who always shows up when things fall apart. If a tire blows out, they call me. If an event needs chairs, I'm the guy with the trunk space. They say I'm steady. What they mean is I'm the one who never says no. I have a 9-year-old son, Theo. Smart, quiet, obsessed with soccer and Lego. My whole life is built around keeping him steady too. Homework, dinners, bedtime jokes. We live in a small apartment that smells like coffee in the morning and laundry on Sundays. It's not fancy, but it's ours. Then there's my sister, Avery. She's 6 years younger, getting married in 6 weeks, and the kind of person who uses words like curate and elevated about napkins. My mom is her co-pilot. My dad is the quiet man who nods at whatever keeps peace. And me? I'm the funding source, apparently. It started on an ordinary Tuesday. I'd picked Theo up late from aftercare, thanks to traffic and a guy blocking a lane with his hazards. By the time we got home, it was dark. Theo dumped his backpack on the rug, searching for homework. I put water to boil, opened my laptop, and told myself I'd just clear a few emails. The apartment was quiet except for the hum of the stove. Theo grated cheese like he was stealing treasure from the fridge. I was almost relaxed. Then my phone buzzed. Mom. I let it ring. Buzzed again, Avery. Then Mom again. I didn't answer. I wasn't ready for the committee meeting. Not hungry, not with Theo standing there. I kept cooking. Then the voicemail played itself, thanks to my Bluetooth speaker buried in Theo's backpack. Somehow, it connected and blasted Avery's voice across our kitchen like a PA system. Hey. So, we went over the numbers. It's not going to work if people bring extra kids unless they're, helpful. You already sent the 5-6, which, thank you, but we're bumping gift budgets for Inner Circle. Double it or no additional kids after cocktail hour. That includes Theo. He's adorable, but we only have room for priorities. Don't make this hard. Love you. The words sat in the air like smoke. Theo froze with the cheese grater in his hand. He didn't look at me right away. When he did, it was quick, then backed down, like he'd done something wrong. He whispered, "It's okay, Dad. Just leave me with a nanny like last time." We don't have a nanny. We have Mrs. Ortega from down the hall who takes cash and extra tamales when I work late. Theo said, nanny, because he thinks that's what kids and families like Avery's imaginary wedding world have. I killed the speaker with my thumb. My hands shook. My son was trying to make me feel better about being priced out of his own aunt's wedding. I bent down, kissed the top of his head, and told him, "You didn't do anything wrong." He nodded, small and quiet. By bedtime, my phone had 6 missed calls. By midnight, 11. By morning, 47. But right then, the only thing that mattered was the look on Theo's face. And for the first time, I realized my family had pushed me past steady. I grew up trained to be useful. Not kind, not brave, useful. If the dishwasher broke, I held the flashlight for Dad. If a form needed filling, Mom slid it to me. When Avery forgot her gym shoes in 8th grade, I drove them across town during my lunch break from a crappy retail job, because you're the dependable one, Michael. Dependable turned into payable the year I graduated. At 22, Dad's knee surgery snuck up on the deductible. I covered the copay. At 23, the AC at my parents' house died in July. I put the repair on my card just until the next paycheck. At 25, Avery chased a marketing job in LA that didn't exist and signed a lease with a landlord who loved cosigners. Guess who had the best credit? Family is family, Mom would say, like it was a coupon code that made the total drop to 0. I learned to shrug and say, it's fine. I learned to skip vacations and eat at home and tell myself I like plain pasta anyway. I told myself I was building something, stability, a life Theo could count on. I wasn't wrong, but I wasn't honest either. I was building a system where saying no felt like betrayal. When Avery got engaged, the first call wasn't "we're so excited." It was, "we need to lock the venue." Then a shared spreadsheet arrived, color-coded like a small country's budget. There was a column labeled Family Contributions, with my name already filled in. The notes were polite threats dressed as gratitude. Just to get started. You're our rock. Could you bridge this until his parents sort out their side? Every transfer came with a glittering thank you and a new problem. The venue minimum jumped because they added a grazing table that grazed $800. The photographer needed a retainer because she's the only one who gets our vibe. The florist threw in a ceremony arch that was apparently a second rent payment. I sent $1,700 in May. This saves the date. Mom texted with heart emojis. I sent $2,000 in July. You're a lifesaver, Avery wrote. I sent $900 in August. Final stretch, Dad texted, using his once-a-month words. I sent $1,000 last week. Last one, Mom promised, like a parent promising this is the last stop at the toy aisle. I kept a ledger. I told myself ledgers equal control. The truth, ledgers just make the story neat while it eats you. While the wedding grew, Theo watched. He didn't know the numbers, but he saw the stress. He saw me skip the ice cream at the park and say, "We have popsicles at home." He heard me on the phone saying, "No, I can't ask my friend to DJ for exposure. And no, I'm not comfortable fronting a tip pool." He saw me stare at my laptop at midnight, counting the same balances again. Sometimes he'd bring me water and say, "Coach says hydration stops cramps." He meant, "I see you hurting, but I don't know how to fix it." I drank the water. It helped as much as it could. Then came the kids' rule. The first time, it was couched in adult energy. Avery called during Theo's bath. "Ceremony for everyone, obviously," she said. "Photos, of course. But after cocktail hour, we want candles and conversation, you know? Not little ones underfoot." "Define little ones," I said, pulling a plastic boat out of the tub with my foot. "Under 10, she said. "Except infants and strollers. And, like, some families who are really contributing." The word contributing sat in my ears like a mosquito. "Contributing what?" I asked. She went vague. "You know, support." I pictured a line at the door, kids sorted by how much their parents paid. I pictured Theo standing there with his small tie, checking his worth like a coat check tag. I said, "Theo can sit still. He reads. He doesn't run into candles." She said, "No one's saying he's a problem. We just want a mood." The mood had a price. My kid had a price. I didn't say that. I said, "We'll see." Mom followed up the next day with soft language sharpened to a point. "We have to be fair, sweetheart. Some people are covering big things. It's not about money." "It is," I said. "Don't be crass," she said. We argued in circles until the Bluetooth speaker did what I wouldn't. It told the truth out loud. After that voicemail, I stopped pretending the wedding was a celebration with a budget problem. It was a budget with a celebration problem. But the wedding wasn't the only thing. There were 100 small habits that made this possible. Like Mom calling me, not Dad, when a bill came. Like Dad forwarding me emails with, "Can you handle?" in the subject line. Like Avery texting, "You're literally the only person I trust with vendor stuff," when what she meant was, "You're the only person who says yes on short notice." There were other scenes, little ones that now look like flashing signs. Like the baby shower 3 years ago when I bought the bulk of the food because the RSVP count exploded and watched Avery joke that she was crowdsourcing motherhood. Like the time Mom said, "You know how many times we drove you to practice?" when I flinched at covering an airline change fee. Like the Christmas where I split my bonus 3 ways and woke up in January with my account looking like a winter field, flat and empty, and Mom texted, "Do you have any wiggle room for property taxes?" I was trained to feel proud of that. I was trained to confuse being useful with being loved. In the weeks before the voicemail, I started saying no in tiny ways. No to the champagne truck. No to the ice sculpture. No to upgrading chairs because wood reads richer than resin. Each no got logged in the family ledger labeled difficult. "Why are you making this hard?" Avery would ask. "Because the numbers didn't work. Because my kid. Because I was tired." But I only said, "Because I can't." Mom would sigh. Money isn't everything. Except when it is the only thing. When I sent the last $1,000, she replied with a string of hearts, and "Now we can breathe." I stared at the message on my cracked phone screen and rubbed the tight spot between my eyes and thought, "Who is we?" Then the speaker woke up, and the mask fell off, and I heard my sister say the quiet part. "Double the gift budget or no extra kids." He's adorable, but we only have room for priorities. Theo looked at me like he was learning something new about the world and trying to practice it in front of me. "It's okay, Dad," he said. He meant, "I can be less so you don't have to fight." That night, I sat on the edge of the tub and scrolled through the ledger and felt the math like a bruise. I called a friend who knows contracts and family politics and how to sit at a table and not blink. He said, "You don't need a speech. You need a sentence." "What sentence?" I asked. No. I slept badly. I woke up resolved. I wasn't going to write a novel to the family chat. I wasn't going to post a thread of screenshots. I wasn't going to yell. Yelling is loud. Boundaries are quiet. Morning came. Coffee. Lunchbox. Soccer cleats. The ordinary armor you put on so your day doesn't push you over. I packed Theo's backpack and slid the treacherous little speaker back in, now turned off. I kissed his head. I told him I'd pick him up early. I meant it. Then I wrote 3 messages that changed the room more than all my previous speeches combined. From now on, my attendance and Theo's attendance are based on the original invitation terms. I won't be making additional contributions. Please don't call me at work. To Dad, please don't smooth this behind my back. That's part of the problem. To the planner, remove me from logistics and vendor comms. Any future money questions must be in writing. Send. 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 My phone started to dance on my desk 10 minutes later. Mom. Avery. Mom. I put it face down. The screen still lit the wood like a tiny storm. By lunch, it said 12 missed calls. By 4 p.m., 21. By evening, 30 plus and counting. I made dinner. Theo practiced tie knots on a stuffed bear. The apartment was small and warm and safe. It felt like the only room where my words counted as much as anyone else's. And still, when the phone buzzed again, I flinched. The final tasting was supposed to be a gift for all your help. That's what Avery said when she invited me. Come eat tiny, fancy bites and feel appreciated. I said yes before the voicemail. After the voicemail, I almost skipped it. Then I decided that rooms change faster when everyone is sitting down. The restaurant staged a long table with white everything. Little plates. Little spoons. One sprig of rosemary doing the job of a forest. The planner smiled like a flight attendant in turbulence. Mom was already on speaker with the florist discussing whimsy, which is a red flag disguised as eucalyptus. Ben squeezed my shoulder. Thanks for coming, he said. His parents weren't there. They were apparently handling the band. We sipped soup out of espresso cups. Avery said mouthfeel. Dad said nothing. I could feel the moment waiting for me like a step in a dark stairwell. I didn't start it. Avery did. So, she said, napkin folded into a triangle that pointed at me. We got your text. Yes, I said. She smiled tight. We're trying to create an experience. You're acting like we're asking you to fund a yacht. Mom cut in. This is neither the time nor the place. It's the only time we're all in the same room, I said. Might as well be efficient. Ben turned his water glass slowly. We love Theo, he offered, like a bandage over a cut he didn't make. Stop saying it like a spell, I said. It doesn't change what was asked. Avery's voice sharpened. Children after cocktails makes everything chaotic. We're not monsters. He can be in the photos. Do you hear yourself? I asked. He's 9, not a centerpiece. She rolled her eyes. You're being dramatic. I took out my phone and pressed play on her voicemail. The table went still. The words filled the white space. Double the gift budget or no extra kids. He's adorable, but we only have room for priorities. The planner stared at her notes like they might grow into a bunker. Dad's jaw clenched. Ben looked at Avery like something he'd ignored had finally stood up. Mom said, that's out of context. The context is months, I said. Payments. Promises. The rule that the more you give, the more human you're allowed to be. Mom sat straighter. No one forced you to help. I reached into my folder and slid printed emails across the table. I'd highlighted lines in yellow. I hate myself a little for being the guy with printouts, but I was done being a feeling. I wanted to be a fact. May 12th, I said. You wrote, we'll lose the date, and it will break Avery's heart. July 2nd. You're Theo's godfather. This is for family. Last week. One last bridge, sweetheart. You know we'll make it right. That's not asking. That's leverage in a hug. Avery flushed. You're cruel. I'm clear, I said. If Theo goes home at 7 because he doesn't meet the spend threshold, I go home with him. If the rule changes, we'll stay. And the money I've sent is the last money I send. Mom hissed. Don't you dare threaten me. It's not a threat, I said. It's a boundary. Ben cleared his throat. We can adjust. Avery whipped her head toward him. Adjust what? The policy, he said. Kids can stay. Mom made a noise that sounded like a tea kettle complaining. We can't. It will look unfair. It already is, I said. The planner, professional to the end, slid a printed budget forward. If kids stay, catering minimum increases by $1,600. We can cut the oyster bar, the late-night fries truck, or the custom neon sign. Any two solves it. The rest is preference. Mom put a hand to her heart like we'd shot her. The neon sign is a moment. So is telling a child he's not welcome, I said. Silence. A server approached with another tiny plate and retreated like they'd walked into a family funeral. Avery looked at me a long time. searching for the version of me that apologized when she winced. He wasn't there. She said, "If you walk out, don't expect." I stood. Expect what? She closed her mouth. She didn't have an ending I'd accept. I nodded at Ben. "I hope you have a good day," I said to the planner, because she didn't deserve any of this. I left my napkin folded small on the table. I walked out. On the sidewalk, I breathed like the air was thick. My hands shook. I texted the hotel and canceled the block of rooms I'd reserved on my card as a favor. I emailed the planner, reassigned my contributions. I CC'd everyone. Subject, final. I turned off my phone. On the train home, I watched the city slide by, brick, glass, small windows with lives inside. I thought about Theo in his blazer practicing serious faces. I thought about him hearing a grown-up say he was adorable, but not a priority. I felt a clean, quiet rage I didn't recognize in myself. At home, I checked on him. He was asleep with a book open on his stomach. I put the book away. I kissed his hair. I sat in the dark living room and listened to the fridge hum. I waited for fear to show up. It didn't. Only relief came, slow and steady. In the morning, the lock screen said 47. The morning after the tasting was a flood. At 7:03 a.m., "Mom, you humiliated your sister in front of professionals. Do you understand what that does to us?" Then a second text. "We sacrificed for you." Then a list of parenting moments posted as invoices, rides to practice, casseroles when I had strep, a month of rent when I was 20 and short because my student job cut hours. I didn't remember that month as a gift with strings. Apparently, the strings had just been rolled neatly until now. I didn't answer. At 7:22, "Avery, canceling the rooms was vindictive. Then, you made Ben's parents see our private mess. Then, we're family." At 8:01, "Dad, I read everything. I'm sorry. I should have stepped in sooner." At 8:02, "I will handle transportation." It was the first time he took something off my plate without slipping it back when Mom got loud. At 9:15, the planner emailed updated documents. Subject, revised. Body, children welcome. Catering minimum increases $1,600. Recommendation, cut neon sign plus oyster bar. Vendors notified of boundary. Family member is not a logistics point of contact. A small line. Families are complicated. Boundaries help. I almost cried at a sentence in a vendor email. Avery forwarded that email into the family chat with, "This is what Michael did." I replied, "The planner suggested cuts. I agreed to none. I am not the client." Mom replied, "You made us look cheap. Then, we didn't raise you to be small." I put my phone face down and worked. My boss asked how I was doing. I said fine, because I'm broken in that predictable way. At lunch, I bought a coffee I'd been denying myself all month and drank it slowly on a sunlit curb. A text blinked, my cousin Mara. I heard a bit. "You're not crazy." That voicemail was brutal. I stared at the screen until the words steadied me. It helps when one person in the family says, "I see the thing you saw." At 3 p.m., the hotel manager called. "We're waiving the cancellation fee," she said. "You've always been organized and kind with our staff." I thanked her and sat quietly with the reminder that there are rooms where I am not a problem to solve. At 5 p.m., I picked up Theo. He ran at me full speed and crashed into my stomach. "Can we practice the Thai?" he asked. "I want to walk slow like in the video." We practiced in the hallway. Mrs. Ortega clapped from her door and said, "Guapo," and Theo's smile tried to swallow his cheeks. We ate grilled cheese. We played soccer with a laundry basket goal. He asked, "Will there be good cake?" I said yes. He said 2 slices. I said, "Don't get greedy." He laughed. At bath time, Aunt Lena called. She never calls me. She calls Mom. I braced for a lecture. I got something else. "Michael," she said, "thank you." "For what?" I asked. "For not letting them make your boy small," she said. "I let your mother do that to mine. We paid for seats we should have had by right." I didn't have words then. "You do. Keep them." After we hung up, I sat on the toilet lid and thought about the women in our family who learned early that peace requires a price, and how quick we are to hand the bill to the person who always pays. I thought about how Avery learned from Mom that beauty and attention were currency, and how she learned from me that I'd exchange mine for theirs. Friday, Mom switched tactics. The anger cooled to sugar. "Sweetheart," she wrote, "we're all stressed. We went too far. Can you help with just one more piece? Transportation is messy." "No," I wrote. "Michael," she snapped back, "your tone is disrespectful." "No" is a complete sentence, I wrote. 5 minutes later, "Dad, I'll handle Vans." I stared at the text a long time. Ben called around lunch. I let it ring and then answered because some people deserve a chance to be brave. I didn't know about that voicemail, he said, voice low. I didn't know she asked you to double anything. I believe you, I said. She said it in a heat. He added, loyalty tugging at him. She said it because it worked before, I said. He sighed. We cut the sign. I liked it. It said the Benz. Stupid, but funny. It's okay to like dumb things, I said. It's not okay to fund them by making someone prove love. He was quiet. I want Theo there. Full stop. Me too, I said. After we hung up, the group chat was a mess again. Aunts were posting Bible verses at each other like postcards from competing vacations. A cousin asked if his teens could bring dates since kids are welcome now. Mom replied, the vibe is diluted, a phrase I will be making fun of in my head until I die. That evening, Ben's mom sent a handwritten note with a tiny gift bag tied to it. Inside, Jordan almonds. The card. We're glad Theo will be there. Our family believes celebrations are better with children underfoot. We'll cover the difference. Please allow a grandma to spoil him. I read it twice and then sat on the couch until my eyes stopped stinging. Saturday, soccer tournament. Theo scored with his left foot and ran a lap like he'd ended a drought. We got tacos. He asked if blazers work with sneakers for dancing. I said yes. He asked if he could practice being serious and then smiling and then serious again. We filmed it and sent the video to no one. Sunday, I wrote myself a list on the fridge titled Rules. My kid is not leverage. Help is voluntary. If it has strings, it's a leash. No, doesn't require an explanation. I will not make my value proof-based. If the room charges a cover for dignity, I'll leave. Monday, Mom tried one more angle. If you don't call me back, she texted, I will assume you're no longer part of this family. At 9:06, that was harsh. Call me. At 9:09, Michael. I put my phone in a drawer and answered a Jira ticket. Boundaries feel mean when you've been trained to be available. They're not. They're a way to stay. Wednesday, Avery called. She cried. She said, you made me look like a monster. I thought about apologizing for the scene at the tasting, for how public the truth felt. I didn't. You can fix it by apologizing to Theo, I said. He heard the voicemail. She was quiet. He did. In our kitchen, I said. On a speaker. I didn't know, she said, small. You could fix it, I said. I don't want to look weak, she whispered. It would make you look human. She didn't answer. We hung up. Friday afternoon, Mom came by. No announcement. She stood at my door looking like a person who'd lost a fight with herself and won something better. Theo let her in. She kneeled so they were eye to eye. I'm sorry, she said. I made you feel like you were a problem. You're not a problem. You're my grandson. I want you there. He looked at me. I nodded. He said, can I have 2 slices of cake? She laughed and cried. Yes. When she left, Theo climbed into my lap and asked, are we winning? I said, we are. I meant it. The house got quiet again, not like fog, but like a room with doors I could close. I slept. We went to the wedding. Theo wore his navy blazer and a clip-on bow tie we practiced 15 times. I wore a suit that felt like I'd been inside my life long enough for it to fit again. The sun was gentle, the venue smelled like cut grass, and the string quartet played the one pop song they learned for the month. Avery looked beautiful. I don't mean expensive. I mean she looked like herself with fewer angles. When she saw us, she blinked and then smiled in a way that wasn't for the camera. Ben squeezed my shoulder and said, thanks for coming. Like the words weighed something, and he knew it. Kids ran across the lawn at cocktail hour. No one died. Candles survived. An elderly aunt danced with a toddler, and the sky did not fall. The DJ took requests, and no one combusted when a 6-year-old asked for Bruno. At dinner, Theo sat between me and a cousin who builds model trains. They talked about gears. He ate bread and stared at the centerpiece like it was an alien plant. Avery came by and said, hey, Prince of the dance floor. He smiled for real, not the practiced one. Mom approached carefully. I'm learning, she said. It wasn't an apology, but it was a direction. Dad hugged me and didn't say anything. It was enough.